I'm Tristan Winder in the News 2 streaming studio at the Morning Pulse here on this Tuesday, March 11th. Weather permitting, work is anticipated to begin on Interstate 80 near North Platte early next week. According to a press release from the Nebraska Department of Transportation, this road work will be performed from reference post 17094 to reference post 17682. Midwest Coating Company of Iowa is the contractor on this project, with work including crack sealing and pavement markings. Traffic will be maintained with a lane closure, and a 12-foot width restriction will be in effect as well. Anticipated completion of the project is within April of this year, and the purpose of this project is to preserve the transportation asset and to improve the reliability of transportation systems with the mobility of the traveling public as well. As always, motorists are reminded to drive cautiously in and near work zones, to buckle up and put phones down as well. In other news today, a new study from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln details the economic contributions of the state's ethanol industry. The study, conducted by UNL's Department of Agriculture Economics, found that in 2021 to 2023, ethanol production in Nebraska remained steady. Its economic impact in 2022 was really steady, as researchers said that it was the highest point at $8.18 billion. The ethanol industry is the third largest ad sector in the state, behind just corn and cattle. In a press release, Ben Rhodes, interim executive director of the Nebraska Ethanol Board, said that the study was a testament to the strength and resilience of Nebraska ethanol's industry and its unmatched importance to the good life. Happening in the Nebraska unicameral, lawmakers heard from the public on whether sports betting in Nebraska should be expanded, and if voters should be the ones to decide. 28 states allow sports betting on your phone, as long as you're in that state. Nebraska, however, does not. So if you have an account with one of the big apps like FanDuel or DraftKings, you have to drive to Iowa to make a bet. And many Nebraskans are doing so. But this constitutional amendment would change that if voters agree.
Regulate what's already happening, and I think that's a pretty important step. It's not just regulate, but it's also tax. Right now, if they cross into Iowa, Iowa gets the money, the tax money, and the revenue associated with it.
And that's why the only thing you heard about from proponents today was money. Nothing about what's best for families and kids, and nothing about how over 50% of online gambling revenue comes from addicted gamblers.
Opponents say that sports betting on your phone targets very addictive gamblers. And supporters also explained to lawmakers that they consider this a form of entertainment, and that they work hard to protect those who are addicted. In other legislative news today, the Legislature Appropriations Committee hearing testimony yesterday about a bill that will provide millions of dollars in funding to support domestic violence survivors and programs. This comes after 3 women here in Nebraska died as a result of domestic violence just last month. LB 348, introduced by Senator Jason Prokop, would utilize $3 million from the Health and Human Services Cash Fund to support those services. Previously, those funds were held in the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families account. But because of conflicts with confidentiality and federal law, those dollars have not been able to be spent.
It's one of those things where it's probably someone's worst day of their life when they have instances of abuse. And so making sure that the resources are there to support them is critical.
The funding would help provide resources like shelter, transportation, and support with protection orders. If passed, LB 384 would appropriate $3 million for 2025 to 2026 and an additional $3 million for 2026 to 2027. Jaden Cree from Lincoln is officially moving on to the next round of The Voice. Cree, who is on Team Michael Bublé, had an all-star mentor and Wicked star Cynthia Irigov. Cree is moving on to the knockout round. She's also the daughter of Brian Olsen, who made it all the way to the final round of The Voice on season 25. Remember, you can watch The Voice on KNOP News 2 as well. So definitely be watching to see how the Nebraskan does as the singing competition continues. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic being classified as a pandemic. The designation came on March 11, 2020, after the World Health Organization had determined the outbreak was an international public health emergency. The last pandemic issued dates back to 2009's H1N1 flu, which claimed hundreds of thousands of lives globally. As of June 2024, nearly 1.2 million people in the U.S. had died from COVID-19, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Lawmakers in Idaho are moving a bill which aims to make sure all students in the state are proficient at cursive writing through the state house. The bill would require students to do good at both reading and writing in cursive by the end of 5th grade. Supporters of the bill said that children do not know how to read or write in cursive, and they're missing out on important historical elements of the country since most historical documents have been written in cursive. However, opponents of the bill are arguing that cursive is something that could be left in the past and should not be mandatory. It's kind of interesting. I know a lot of us here in Greater Nebraska still know how to read and write in cursive, but to find out that it's not being taught as heavily within the classrooms has been at the center of controversy a little bit. What are your thoughts? Should cursive be taught within the classroom? For me, I think it was the end of my 3rd grade year you had to be able to read and write in cursive. My signature obviously is in cursive, but I think that's about the only writing I do in cursive. But in high school, definitely used cursive for a lot of note-taking. Same thing with college as well. Rounding out the morning pulse here on this Tuesday, March 11th with a check of the 7-day forecast. Temperatures today not as good as what they were yesterday. My goodness, what a warm one we had. Set record highs throughout the state of Nebraska as well for this time of the year. 62 the high today, a little bit more breezy. 57 the high tomorrow. Back into the mid-60s for Thursday and Friday, but Friday does bring a strong chance of moisture as well. Saturday going to be awfully breezy, but then warmer temperatures early next week as well. My goodness, topping out in the mid-70s for next Monday according to early predictions. Have a great day.